Iran is daring European powers after the US unilaterally pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal. Iran has told the United Nations nuclear watchdog that it will begin the process to increase the country's uranium enrichment capacity. The country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has said that he has ordered preparations to increase the capacity of uranium enrichment in the country.
سازمان انرژی هسته‌ای موظف است سریعاً آمادگی‌های لازم رو برای رسیدن به 190,000 سو در چارچوب برجام فعلا در چارچوب برجام مقدمات رو و آمادگی‌ها رو سریعاً فراهم بکنه و برخی مقدمات دیگر را که رئیس جمهور محترم دستور آن را دادند از همین فردا آغاز کند.
Under the 2015 agreement with the US, France, Germany, Britain, Russia and China, Iran had strictly limited uranium enrichment capacities. This was done to satisfy world powers that Tehran will not develop atomic bombs. In exchange, Iran received some relief from sanctions. And since the US pulled out of the deal, tension has been simmering between Iran and the West. The European signatories of the accord backed the deal, but have concerns over Iran's ballistic missile program and its influence in West Asia. Iran has so far maintained that the two issues are non-negotiable. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister is in Europe hoping to convince European nations to stop backing Iran. He's begun his three-country tour aimed at burying the 2015 nuclear agreement. Benjamin Netanyahu has so far failed to get Angela Merkel on board. Germany resisted Benjamin Netanyahu's insistence that tearing up the non-proliferation deal was the best way to achieve this. He's also meeting French President Emmanuel Macron today.
Well, I can say they're now in a very safe place. Here's what the files included: incriminating documents, incriminating charts.
The special counsel, because it really started, just heard that.
Well, joining us now live from London is Ollie Barrett. Thanks so much, Ollie, for joining us. Now, there have been a lot of developments over the last few days. Mr. Khamenei making that statement significantly on the death anniversary of Ayatollah Khamenei. Benjamin Netanyahu is in Europe as well, and the IAEA nuclear watchdog governing board also met for the first time since the US pulled from the deal.
That's exactly right. And Benjamin Netanyahu, ahead of his three-country trip to Europe, said that he would be discussing two issues while he was here. He said those two issues would be Iran and Iran. So a very clear sense from Benjamin Netanyahu before he set off for Europe about exactly what was top of his agenda. But as you were saying, Angela Merkel not seeming to budge from her position that she wants the Iran nuclear deal to hold, despite the opposition to it that she's heard from Benjamin Netanyahu. And we can expect a similar position to be held by French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Theresa May as well when the two meet here in London. The European signatories to the deal remain committed to it and say they'll try and do whatever they can to make sure that it can be kept alive. This latest move by the Iranians to show that they have the capacity, at least, to boost uranium enrichment capacity really hits two markers here. One of those is that it can say, well, we're doing this, we're telling the United Nations about it, we're being upfront, we're being open about it also, we're not breaching the terms of the deal. But at the same time, they are trying to show the world, and particularly the Americans, that they do have the capacity to move pretty quickly if the deal were to fall apart. So I think the European signatories to the deal, despite saying they want to keep it alive and insisting they're doing everything along with the Iranians to keep that deal in place, they will be concerned about this latest move by Tehran. It will feed into concerns that it's going to be a difficult deal to keep on the table now that the Americans have pulled out.
Ali Barrett, the IAEA, though saying that it would like Iran to do more, has also made it clear that Iran has not breached or broken the 2015 deal. After all, they had 35 or so snap inspections just last year.
Yeah, and that, goes directly against the claims made by US President Donald Trump, of course, when he pulled the Americans out of the deal. And the European signatories have said all along that they believe Iran is keeping to the terms. British Prime Minister Theresa May has been among the leaders, along with Boris Johnson, the UK Foreign Secretary, to say that the deal may not be completely perfect, but it's the best available and is the best guarantee going to try and keep the Middle East from descending further into violence when it comes to Iranian intentions. Now, that doesn't mean that European powers don't have concerns about Iranian activities in the Middle East, and British Prime Minister Theresa May and other European leaders, Angela Merkel too, have expressed their concerns about Iranian influence in the Middle East, not least with inside the Syrian borders and the Syrian civil war. So the fact that the European powers want to remain signed up to the Iran nuclear deal doesn't mean they are complete supporters of the government in Tehran, the administration there, but it does mean that they still believe this deal offers the best prospect of keeping Iran from pursuing nuclear weapons. And of course it has the economic element to it as well. The European Union has said it will be exploring options to try and make sure it can mitigate any effects for European companies that want to continue to do business with Iran under the terms of the 2015 deal. That said, there are some European major companies who've already started pulling their interests out of Iran for fear of falling foul of American sanctions, with Washington having pulled out of the arrangement. So an incredibly complicated reality we're now in, and lots of moving parts, and very difficult to know exactly where all this ends up.
Ollie Barrett reporting on the complicated reality live from London there. The parent firm of the scandal hit Cambridge Analytica spied for Western intelligence agencies. It singled out people with so-called jihadist tendencies in Yemen. A report has revealed, quoting a journalist Max Blumenthal, that the staff was tasked with making a psychological analysis of youth who were susceptible to resort to terrorist activities. According to the journalist, the findings were later handed over, possibly to Britain's foreign intelligence agency MI6. Cambridge Analytica's parent company, Strategic Communications Laboratories, conducted the alleged spying operation in 2009. The report further suggests that the US also handed out 2 contracts to Strategic Communications Laboratories to carry out what they considered to be a counter-propaganda operation in Yemen. I'm going back live to London, where our Bureau Chief Mandy Clark joins us. Thanks so much, Mandy, for joining us. It seems days and weeks and months, and Cambridge Analytica continues to get some bad press.
Absolutely, and what is even more interesting that their parent company, SCL, is accused of using is really psychological profiling that were really the blueprint that was later used by Cambridge Analytica for that Trump 2016 campaign. So there's a lot of questions about the ethics of this big data and intelligence gathering, how it's used, and the misuse of it. This seems very much a counterinsurgency effort, and the question is whether private firms should be involved in these sorts of operations.
Mandy Clark reporting live from London.